Hello, 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 and welcome to a brand new episode of the Uncovering Greatness podcast. I am your co-host, as always, Suleiman Steele, and today we are joined by Barry Mitchell yet again. We'll make the mistake of calling him a special guest and having to go through that whole ordeal again. But yeah, so thank you guys. Thank you everybody for watching last month for the Begin With You End in Mind section. It was really, really awesome. And we also obviously had the opportunity to do an interview last week, which you guys have really been consuming really nicely. I've really enjoyed seeing those numbers go up. So please continue to do so. But it's a new month, which means we've always got a new topic for you guys. And this one is called Drawing a Line in the Sand. Kind of feel like this is like one of your favorites.
What, drawing a line in the sand?
This is like your thing. This is the one it's like gets you going. So can you just tell us what, from your perspective, what is drawing a line in the sand?
Well, first up, hello everyone. Good to be with you. Great to be on another episode of the Uncovering Greatness podcast. And drawing a line in the sand. Well, I first came across that concept 18 years ago when I first started working with Blair Singer. I went on his Sales Explosion program, the program that I teach today, that I've been teaching for 18 years. And in that program, he talked about, sometimes you have to draw a line in the sand. So what is drawing a line in the sand? Well, let me ask you guys this. How many of you know that there's things in your life you have to get done? And you know you have to get them done. But you've been putting them off. And you start them and then you stop them. And then you do them and then you don't do them. Then you find excuses and all that sort of stuff. Drawing a line in the sand is actually just standing up saying enough is enough. That's it. There's the line.
Yeah.
And I'm not freaking going back over it. It's there. Now, what I've observed with many people is that's where people struggle. There's not that commitment to go, okay, stuff it, I'm drawing a line in the sand. So I'll give you a couple of examples. In our previous podcast, we talked about begin with the end in mind and understanding where you're at and all that sort of stuff. And I told a little bit of my sort of last 4 months, 6 months, putting a little bit too much weight on that I wanted, still training but not eating properly. And so I've been working on that for the whole year. For this, when I say the whole year, for this first month of January, really been getting more and more focused. But the reality is I came to a decision over the weekend. It was like, I know what I need to do, and I'm doing most of it, but what's the real line in the sand that I need to draw? And the line in the sand that I need to draw, I needed to draw, was actually just to set a goal, get focused on exactly what I'm going to do, write it down, and make it happen. So, I was last week I was doing quite a lot of cardio training. I got back on my rowing machine again, and I sat on that rowing machine and I said, okay, it's very simple. 2025. February, I'll compete in the World Rowing Championships again. Now, 14 months is a long way off.
Yeah.
But once I made that decision, I've been talking about it, humming and hawing, maybe. Once I made that decision, when it started kicking other things into play, in terms of giving me clarity on what I want to do when it comes to nutrition in February, how I'm going to handle my nutrition in February, what I'm going to do in terms of my training. And now that I've drawn that line in the sand, now the deal is to stick to it.
Yeah.
To have the discipline to actually keep doing it. So I see it in sales. People want to make, I see it all the time. People come to me, Barry, how can I grow my sales? I sit down with them, go, make a list. Get clear on your target market. Make a list. Set aside some time and make 5, 10, 15, 20, whatever the number of phone calls every single day.
Yeah.
And then 3 weeks later, I go, how's it going? Well, so, and the deal is they weren't actually really focused and committed to draw that line in the sand and stand for it. When you draw a line in the sand, it's something that you stand up for. It's something that you stand against.
Yeah.
And I just find in the world today, there's just, I don't know, there's so much flip-floppy fake BS. And people will just shift from one thing to the other.
Oh, yeah.
They're not real. They're not authentic. Where the wind blows them, they go. Public sentiment, they shift. You you see it all over the world.
Yeah.
And you watch people, when people actually just draw a line in the sand and stand up for something. Again, whether you like him or not, Donald Trump will draw a line in the sand and say, that's what I'm going to do. And then he'll friggin' do whatever he can to make that happen. Whether it's popular, unpopular, I'd rather hang out with someone like that who makes a decision and is going to get it done than someone who friggin' flip-flops. And that's drawing a line in the sand. You know, there's a wonderful movie called A Few Good Men.
Yeah.
Nicholson. And with Jack Nicholson.
Yeah.
Jack Nicholson and Tom Cruise.
Yeah, Demi Moore.
And in that, there's a piece in that movie where Jack Nicholson is sitting in the docks, and he is being grilled by Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
And he's being grilled, and he eventually gets to the stage where he says, "I did it.
Yeah.
I did it. I did it. That's it. And why did I do it? Because I stand up for something bigger than me. I stand up." And he drew a line in the sand. And in that moment, when he drew that line in the sand, well, he now ran the risk of being court-martialed and put to death. I don't know. You know, I think what I see too often is, and I say most people are not actually prepared to just take a stance and do. And this is not in your business, in your life. It's not taking a stance against other people a lot of times. It's just freaking taking a stance against yourself. Draw a line in the sand. Tell the weak part of you to shut up and go away. And friggin' stand up for what you want. You want to make more money this year? Stand up for it. You want to make more sales this year? Stand up for it. You want to get healthier this year? Stand up for it. You've got to stand up to yourself first. Then you stand up to other people.
And I think we actually touched on it a few times actually on the podcast where we were speaking about like our meeting last year. That would be you drawing the line in the sand, right? It's like enough. Like I'm gassed. I'm going at 5,000%, and I don't have this. So this is it. Are you guys? Which side are you on?
Yeah, and you guys all got offended with me.
Yeah, you see the part. I didn't take that part. That's the part you take from what I'm saying. I'm trying to give you credit here and say that what you did. Yes, they created that. Right?
Yeah, I was the asshole once again.
But and it's a great point. For as long as I've known you and for as many teams as I've been a part of, I've seen you do it a few times. Right? Draw the line in the sand. This is it. This is where it's at. Other times people have went, yeah, you're the asshole and we're done with you. Right? I don't want to be on your side.
Yeah,
it was your side.
Okay.
But that's the thing, because
Here comes my favorite saying. Sure gonna miss you. Not.
That's kind of what happened, right? You know, because if you're not going to play on the side, what's the point?
100%.
I feel like you were saying earlier, it's like people flip flop, right? People go, wherever the wind blows them, that's where they go.
Yeah.
And I mean, would you not say it's the same for like business owners and entrepreneurs? Like, we'd say COVID, for example. How many people came to you and said, "Oh, we could sell sanitizers. Oh, we could sell PPE. Oh, we could," because that's not your business. And you had to draw a line in the sand and say, "No, I'm not doing that. I got to focus on what I do."
Yeah, so the context is I spent 12 years in the PPE industry.
Yeah.
So I had a lot of context. The amount of people came to me and said, "Oh, Barry, why did we open another PPE company? You know, a whole lot of people, let's import this." And I was very clear. No, that's not what I do. It's not what I do. It doesn't make sense to me right now. Yes, I could make money out of it, but my focus was pushing through, keeping my training and development business moving.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's tough because, you know, when you really draw a line in the sand, you confront other people. You confront other people's opinions. You confront other people's beliefs, and that's okay. As long as you've thought it out and you're standing up for what you believe in.
I mean, that's an interesting one that you put out there, right? It's like, because I think that this is such an important topic right now. Like, it's so funny. So, like, the question I'm going to ask. So, if you look at Israel, Palestine, people flip flop. What a great setup. There is no line in the sand that's been drawn there, right? Like, I've seen it myself. If you don't support Palestine, if you don't stand with Palestine, you're like this. If you don't stand with Israel, you're like this. Blah, 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 blah. But that same person switches the next week.
I think Israel drew a line in the sand when I think it was, when was it? September the 17th? So
Yeah.
I think it was September the 17th.
Yeah, I do remember that.
September, October.
Yeah.
They drew a line in the sand. They said, "That's it. Enough is enough." And people all over the world hate them, but they stood for what they. I'm not going to say whether I agree with what they
No,
do.
no.
But the deal is they stood for something.
Yeah.
They said, "That's it. We're going to defend who we are." Now, you know, and on the other side, yeah, you know, people are standing for something. Now, draw a line in the sand, stand for what you believe in, and now we get down to the side of how does it affect other people? What are all those sort of things? Because you know, in terms of when you take that back to business, in terms of business, well, you can draw a line in the sand and being very determined, and you've also then got to look at what the cost is going to be.
Okay.
So there's always a cost.
Yeah.
So, but if you take what's happening in Israel, Palestine, and you just take what's happening all around the world, the wars that are getting fought. This is my take, my opinion.
Yeah, for sure.
And again, many people listen to this and probably disagree with me. That's okay. Everyone's allowed an opinion. For me, that's the beauty of being a human being. That's the beauty of being in this world is we have an opinion. You're allowed to have an opinion. The question is are you open to change your opinion? Are you open to listen to the opinion of somebody else? Are you open to agree to disagree?
Yeah.
And what I see in the world today is you have to. Everyone's allowed an opinion as long as you freaking agree with me. I mean, how stupid is that? So this, my opinion is one of the reasons why the world is such a shit show at the moment. And let's face it, it is.
It is.
Well, is because people keep flip flopping. Everyone's been over years. Politicians and that. It's all about diplomacy and saying this to this person and that to that person. And you know, when Trump came in as president of America, he was very clear. This is the line. Don't freaking stop with it.
He didn't care
You know, goes to Korea. That's the line. Don't stop with it.
Wasn't that the first president to ever do that? First US
And
president?
as far as I know, to step and go there, step into North Korea.
Yeah, North Korea.
Step into North Korea and meet Kim and said, "That's it. This is how it goes." You know,
Draw a line.
people didn't like that. Why? Because it scares the shit out of them. You know, strength scares the shit out of people.
Drawing the line in the sand can scare the shit out of
Of course it does, because it's much easier to flip flop. Well, maybe this time, maybe not that time. It creates so much ambiguity. You lack clarity, you lack focus, because you don't know. I mean, so take it down to back into business, back into sales.
Yeah.
Well, if you're not absolutely clear that's my process, that's what I'm going to do, and that's what I'm going to do every week. Well, this week you might do it. Next week you don't do it. The following week you consider whether you're going to do it. How can you create results? You can't. So, you know, whatever you want, draw a line in the friggin' sand and stand for it. You know, and you know, I spend a lot of time talking to people. I really want this. Well, go after it. Well, what happens if this? Just friggin' go after it. And when you're going after it, you'll find out what happens. You'll find out what works. You'll find out what doesn't work. And you'll move from there.
So that's so let's just say you're saying, drawing the line in the sand, I want X, right? For my business, for my life, or whatever the case may be. And I'm going to do whatever it takes, legally, ethically, morally, if you by those rules.
Yeah.
You could get it, or you could not get it, but you could get some massive lessons just by drawing the line in the sand and sticking to that.
Of course you will, because now you're starting to take action, starting to do the stuff that you need to do. That's when you get lessons.
Yeah.
Some of it's going to work, some of it's not going to work. When it doesn't work, you get lessons. You learn. When it does work, you keep doing it.
I mean, if you...
Well, I give you an example.
Yeah.
I keep challenging you on your weight.
Yeah.
When you're going to draw that line in the sand and say, stuff it.
Oh, it's already been drawn.
Not, yes, half-heartedly.
Half-heartedly? Yeah. No.
So, and I'm not saying this to pick on you, but, but the deal is, how fit do you actually want to be? Do you want to be a little bit fit, half fit? I know your deal is you really actually would love to be fit like you were when you were back at school.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you're not training and eating at that level.
No, I'm not eating at that level.
Well, draw a friggin' line in the sand and do it.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
No, 100%.
I have a guest today. Oh, you see what's happened? Look. Anyway, it's my little pit bull came to visit,
We drew a line in the sand and put her outside, and she said no.
and she opened the door.
She drew her own line.
Anyway,
Yeah, it's okay.
so now it's black and white.
And actually, I was gonna say the exact same thing. I was like, man, this kind of what's
Anyway, if you can't,
segregation.
yeah, look, you're squeezing me in the frigging corner. Bloody hell.
Well, that's just, I didn't know that existed, did you?
So anyway,
Oh, you're right. You're right. I think you're 100% right. If it's especially when it comes to fitness and my fitness, it doesn't actually work if you just do it based off exercise.
yeah, so
Because you're not gonna, especially when it comes to like the losing of weight. Like now, that's my thing now, is because I feel like I'm definitely carrying too much.
So someone gave me a book the other day, which I have to buy, and I need to download. It's called The Obesity Code.
Okay.
And he was telling me about the obesity code, and he says what the guy says is yes, exercise obviously helps burning calories, He says, but what the guy proves time and time again is it's what you eat. So go back to what we're talking about. You starting to exercise. That's a good thing. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but the reality is, if you really want your fitness to be where you want it to be, how badly do you want it, and what line in the sand are you prepared to draw?
Yeah.
What sacrifice are you prepared to make so that you can make it happen? So you can keep going, well, I'm getting fit, yada da 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 da, and that little voice, and that little voice says, I got to start managing my eating. Well, when are you going to draw that line in the sand and say, stop it, I'm going to exercise and eat. I'm going to get my eating right, and I'm going to flip and do it. That was my deal last week. I went, yeah, I'm training hard. I've never really had a problem training, not for a long time. I'm training hard. I'm eating a lot better, but I'm not at the level that I really want to be. And I had to ask myself, okay, what is that level? And I'm very clear. It's the level I was in February, March last year. Very clear. So I made the decision, okay, what got me to that level? Well, what got me to that level is I had a very big goal. Okay, good. What else got me to that level? I was very clear on my training regimen, and I was very clear on my eating regimen. And was it, again, go back to it, was it easy? No, it was damn friggin' hard. It was damn hard. So, and you take that back into business. I look at my business and I go, it's the same thing. Where do I want my business to be? What do I want it to be? What do I need to do? Generally, I've got a pretty friggin' good idea of what I need to do.
Yeah.
I've been in business for 30 years. When it comes to sales, I've got a good idea of what I need to do. When it comes to building a training business, I've been running this for 18 years. I've got a pretty good idea of what we need to do.
Yeah.
But now it's drawing that line in the sand to say, are we going to do it or are we going to do it? If we're not going to do it, well, then don't waste your time. But if you make that decision and then say, that's it, I'm committed. And part of drawing that line in the sand, that's what it is. It's a no turning back frigging commitment. When you go to that movie with Colonel Jessup, played by Jack Nicholson, once he said yes, there was no frigging turning back.
I was game for him.
That was it. He was in. And how many people are, well, that's not really what it is. That's not really what I said. Da, 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 da. That's not really what I mean.
That's not what I meant.
No, what I meant is, boom, that's the game. Where do I want to be? What do I want to have? What do I want to have in my bank account? This is what I want to have. Now, you go back to when we talked about begin with the end in mind. You've got to have a form of, you got to be realistic with a good stretch. So if you have nothing in your bank account and you've never made $1 million a month, well, don't say in the next 12 months I want to make $1 million a month, because it's highly unlikely.
Yeah.
But set up, right, I want to make $50,000 a month. Right, how am I going to do that? What do I need to do? Draw a line in the sand that until you get to 50,000, that's all you're going to focus on. Once you get to 50, then you can take it to 70, 75, 100, 200, and you build from there. But it takes that focused commitment. That is what I'm going to do. So
for like a small business owner or an entrepreneur who's basically by themselves, right? Don't have a team. How would you say they should draw a line in the sand? I want to grow my business. I want to get better at what I do. How would I do that? Because I'm by myself. So I've got to draw the line for myself.
We'll sit down and say, what do you want? What I want is I want more income. I want more customers. Da 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 da. Go back to begin with the end in mind.
Yeah.
Get clear on what you want, and then sit down and say, right, how do I think I'm going to do that? Right, I have to do A, B, C, and D. Okay, good. You know, if you're unsure, I don't know. If you're in Joburg, come to Circle, or come to the Sales Explosion program, or
Ignite Your Sales.
Ignite Your Sales. If not, I don't know. Go online. Find a coach online. Find someone who can help you. There's a myriad of friggin' opportunities. There's no excuse in this world, Sully, to say I didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
There is absolutely no friggin' excuse to say I didn't know what to do. There's more information on the friggin' planet than there ever has been. So,
And there'll probably be more by the time we post this podcast.
correct. So there's no excuse.
Yeah.
What's the excuse? I am not committed to what I'm actually going to do. You know, I'm not committed to what I'm going to do. So you make that commitment, draw the line in the sand, find out what you're going to do, commit to doing it, and that's it. And you go forward. And you'll learn.
I mean, something that I've heard you say often is like, because this ties in with with drawing the line in the sand so well. It's like people are more committed to their hobbies than they are to their businesses.
Yeah, I watch people. They spend a lot of people spend more time. I don't know. I watch people. They play golf on a Saturday with their buddies, but they're out every Wednesday afternoon or Wednesday evening hitting practice balls so they don't lose their $100 or $200 to their mates. But they're not out there practicing their profession. They're not out there practicing sales. They're not out there practicing how to speak to customers. Does that make sense? So it's those type of things. What is it that I need to do in order to get where I want to go to? Not where no one else. Yes, my wife would be a lot happier if I was a lot fitter. That's it. That be why, because my health is better, because it makes her feel more secure, and she gets worried about it. It's not about what anyone else thinks. It's about what do I friggin' want. You know, so what I want is, I want to get to the level of fitness that I was in February, March this year. I want to take our business back to where it was in 2019, at a minimum before we hit COVID. Yeah, and it's very clear and very clear how to do it.
Yeah.
And what are we going to do this year? And you talk about when I had that meeting with you guys. That's what it was about, guys. Okay, let's stop this. Let's actually just friggin' get in the game. And my words, I think, were, are you in the game or out of the game? If you don't want to be in the game, it's okay. It's not a problem. It doesn't mean I'm going to hate you. I'm not going to... But make a decision. Are you in the friggin' game or not in the game? When you say you're going to do a marketing ad, are you going to do the friggin' marketing ad or not? When you say you're going to make phone calls, are you going to make phone calls? When you say you're going to go to another country, and it applies to everybody in the team.
Yeah.
And that was it. You know, and what it created was heat and pressure. For a couple of weeks, some of my team wouldn't speak to me, or didn't want to speak to me. Or I was the big bad friggin' wolf, but tough shit. But if you look, since we had that meeting, what's shifted?
Everything.
A lot.
A lot of them. Yeah.
Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah. We can at least, there's a lot, at least, and I think something that's also so important is that at least there's things we can measure now.
100%.
You know what I mean? It was very different when, before the line was drawn, there was nothing that could be measured. And from your perspective, it's like, I don't really know what's going on because I'm not really in the country as much.
Well,
I'm not sure, and I'm also not sure if I'm being lied to.
I was clear was going to be measured.
Yeah, what you were doing.
No, but also what you guys should have been measuring.
Yes.
But when you guys weren't 100% committed to doing it, well, it creates frustration.
Yeah.
And that's one of the problems in business. People have teams, and the teams say yes, yes, and yes. But it's not really that 100% commitment. So that's what that is. The more committed you are, the better your results will become. The quicker you can learn what works and what doesn't work. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I mean that's really in all aspects, you know. And I think that one thing I've really enjoyed is being the connection between business and health. If you do certain, if you go to the gym regularly, you eat well, your body will improve. If you make sales calls regularly and you set up meetings regularly, your business will more than likely improve.
100%.
And I mean, something that you say, which I always laugh at when you say it, is eventually somebody will feel sorry for you and buy from you.
Yeah.
Right? But that only works if you're actually doing it. So if you draw a line in the sand and you say, I'm going to make calls, I'm going to visit customers, somebody will feel sorry for you.
Yeah.
But if you're just sitting and the line that you've drawn is that I'm going to wait and I'm going to send some emails and the result that you'll get by drawing that line will be the reverse.
100%. So begin with the end in mind as much as you want. But if there's no line in the sand that I'm going to friggin' start it and do it, and when I'm going to start and do it, and then I'm going to do it, and I'm going to finish what I friggin' start, and I'm going to get the lessons. Well, guess what? In 3 months' time, you're still going to be talking about your plan that you made at the beginning of the year because you listened to begin with the end in mind. And,
That's amazing.
And eventually you get halfway through the year and you're going, oh, well, maybe we'll wait until the end to do another plan for next year. And then find all the reasons. No, friggin' commit. Get it done. And you'll learn. It's either going to work or it's not. But at least if it doesn't work, you have something to measure yourself against. And then you draw another line in the sand and say, what am I going to change? And that's the game.
I mean, you've drawn the line in the sand even with like clients, right? If like somebody comes to Sales Explosion and comes to this and they just keep doing these things and they keep saying to you, oh, Barry, this is what's happening, and keep coming with 1,000 plans. So you got them speak to you for 2 weeks, and in 2 weeks the plan has changed a multitude of times. And you draw a line in the sand with them and you're like, what are you supposed to be doing? Right?
Yeah, or sometimes I'll say to them, have you done what you agreed to do when we spoke last? And they go, no. I go, good. Then if you speak to me now, I'm wasting my time. Go do that. That's drawing a line in the sand. People don't want to do that often. Why? Just in case I offend them and they don't come back as clients. Yeah. Well, the reality is that person really values my input, and they're going to get all uppity and not come back as a client because they're pissed off about that. Well, they're not going to fit in my world. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I think that's such an important piece about drawing a line in the sand is that.
Keep going.
Is that would you say that you also attract the right people, like into your business? Clients, team.
And that's really a topic for another day. But the more clearer you are on who you are and who you are being, the more you connect with people who connect with you. The more flip-flop you are, the more you get people who suddenly find out that you're not really who they thought you were, and then they find out something else. Hey, you don't want that. So, that makes sense?
Yeah. Thank you so much. Drawing the line in the sand, first episode. First episode of Drawing the Line in the Sand. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for watching wherever you are, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. You guys can find us all there. And if you are looking to join us at any of our events, you can just visit www.uncoveringgreatness.com. And you can register for any one of the events like Barry had mentioned, Ignite Your Sales Explosion, Circle of Influence. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys, Barry. Thank you again, Barry, for your honesty and for your time. We appreciate it. And we will see you guys next week for another episode of the Uncovering Greatness podcast. Thank you very much for joining us.
Bye, guys.
Cheers.